Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Andrew channel. So I'm sure you all just saw that new season 3 teaser. It was only about 30 seconds long, but it was enough. For one thing, we know that it's going to be released on January 8th. I was going to be mad if they held it off until April because the season's already done. So thank God we're getting it in January. Anyways, today I'm going to break down the teaser we just saw. I'm not going to waste time putting the whole clip on here because you can just watch it yourself and I'll get copyrighted. I will go through each part of the teaser and give my theories on it. I actually had a few video ideas and theories that this teaser proves to be true, so I'll just talk about it in this video. So let's not waste any more time and hop right into it. So it starts with a flashback of Miguel and Robbie fighting in the school fight, and then it transitions into Johnny and Daniel here. Daniel says the line, "What did you think would happen?" After that, it cuts to this shot of Miguel falling off the rail. The first thing I'll say is that I don't think Daniel is saying that line in this scene. I think all of these scenes are going to be early in the season, and I also think that line is also going to be early in the season. That line will either be about the school fight or just opening up Cobra Kai in general. I think it will actually be a mix of the two. What did you think would happen opening up Cobra Kai? Teaching those kids those lessons. Look what it led to. Both my daughter and your student are in the hospital because of it. And now we're both paying the price. Cobra Kai has to end. That's where I think Daniel is going with that conversation. And I think Johnny will respond with something saying, "I'm trying to make things right. I'm going to get Cobra Kai back." I can see that conversation turning into an argument, and I can also see it being a heart-to-heart. I can see this conversation being before Johnny gets beat up. Then after the conversation, says enough is enough and goes to confront Kreese. I think Johnny ends up getting into a big fight with Kreese. And that's what this shot is here. I would put my money on that shot being a fight with Johnny. Kreese is the best fighter in the whole Karate Kid universe, right behind Mr. Miyagi. Nobody can do that much damage to Kreese besides Johnny. You may say that Kreese is too old to be that good, but I say differently. You can see in the first episode of Season 2 that he's just as good as Johnny, if not better. So I think Johnny and Kreese are really going to brawl it out. And I also think that's going to be the fight that happens in Episode 2. Also, think about this. Who is also going to mess up Johnny that bad? I know people are going to think that he just got messed up badly in a bar fight, but come on, look how bad that is. So the next shot is of Johnny in jail. I originally thought that Johnny was just visiting Robbie, but it looks so much different. Juvie and jail are also just completely different. I'll talk about the Robbie shot later. But Johnny himself is in jail. It's clearly a padding cell because of the people behind him. Also, look at his face as well. That is a look of defeat. He looks pretty vulnerable and upset, so I think he might be talking to Carmen or somebody else there. I think this shot is an ending shot of him having a conversation with somebody. He's either hearing bad news or something that's making him sad. He could be talking to Carmen, a police officer, or even Daniel. Whoever it is doesn't really matter, but he does care about what they have to say. I think the news he receives is either about Robbie being in juvie or something on Miguel's injury. I'm willing to bet on it being about Miguel because of this next shot here. He's wearing the same clothes as he was in the cell, so I think whenever he heard the news and got out of jail, he went to go see Miguel. I have my own theory regarding Miguel's recovery, but I'm just going to say that for another video because that would make this video super long. The reason he went to jail doesn't really matter to me. You could say Kreese called the cops after their fight, but I doubt that. It looked pretty late, and they also looked pretty beat up. It also doesn't look like something that Kreese would do. So whatever he did is something that he only had to sit in jail overnight for. I also think that this scene happened before the first scene on the trailer. For one thing, he doesn't have a cut like he does here. So I would say he first gets in a fight with Kreese, then does something to go to jail for a day, and found out about something with Miguel. That's terrible. Then right here is when I think it's going to be really interesting. I said I would make a separate video on this, but I think Miguel is not supposed to live at first. I think they're going to tell him that they're ready to pull the plug. Johnny will then get furious and then start to get physical. He will get so mad that he headbutts a doctor. Bad enough to the point of stitches. That's just a theory though. I think Daniel comes by a few days later to talk to Johnny about it. He would say that he heard the news. And who did he hear the news from? Probably someone who was there to find out, such as Sam. Notice how all these pieces are coming together? Again, I can make a whole separate video on this theory alone, but notice how all these key details are missed. Sam also heard this terrible news about Miguel, which is why she's weeping in her mother's arms. This is all just hypothetical, but I mean, she's in a hospital, crying. One last thing I'll add to support this is Miguel's hospital bed. Take a close look at the cards on the right. I'm sure they're all from his friends and family, but take an even closer look. You can't really read what the cards are saying, but I can see a similar shape on both of these cards. Look at this here. It looks like birds, doesn't it? I didn't think much of it at first. I still don't really. But I was intrigued that they were on both cards. So I did my research and found out that the bird is a dove. A mourning dove to be exact. They would be on a card that you get for somebody who had just died. Or for somebody who's recovering. Yeah, there's no way any of those cards are for him being dead. I believe in the theory of people thinking he will die, but yeah, no, they're not just gonna send cards like that when he's not even dead yet. Doves are a cool thing to know though, right? So, anyway, here's something that can actually relate to the story. Miguel is wearing something called a halo vest. They're mostly used for cervical vertebral injuries. Now, I'm no doctor, but I think Miguel has a neck vertebrae fracture. They are bad, but they're not too bad. You can recover, but it'll take a long time to do so. With that being said, I think we all knew Miguel was going to take a long time to recover, but I think now is kind of a confirmation. Like I said, I don't know the exact injury, but it seems very likely. This next shot here doesn't give away too much, but I'll still go over it. It looks like Daniel at his house being sad. He could be alone in the scene processing something sad, or he could be with his family hearing something terrible. I think it can only be three things. 1, he's hearing news about Miguel. 2, he heard that Robbie's going to juvie, but I think he's a little too sad for that news. Or 3, which many people actually think surprisingly, is that his mother died. I know that apparently 3 people are dying this season, and his mother dying is a possibility, but throwing that scene on this specific teaser just feels kinda random. This whole teaser is centered around one thing, and that is Miguel. If I were to bet on one thing Daniel would be sad about in this scene, then it would be that his own student killed a person. With his own karate, I think it seems reasonable. Almost all the scenes seem to correlate with Miguel except one, and that is the scene with Tori here. I mean, the scene with Robbie makes sense because it's showing that he's not getting away with what he did. Before I continue with my point, let me point out some things in this scene. Obviously, the whole point of the scene is to show that Robbie's in trouble for what he did. He looks like he's getting visited by somebody, and if I were to say who, I would say Johnny or Daniel. I think Johnny though, because Robbie looks really mad. And I've only ever seen him that mad with his dad. That's definitely a look he gives his father. Also, if you think about it, there's no reason for him to really be mad at Daniel. He's been holding a grudge against his father the entire show, and I can think of a number of new reasons why he would be mad at him. For example, Johnny could have been the one to turn him in. Or maybe the fact that he cares more about Miguel's well-being than his. I have a whole theory on that I will make for another video. I know I went into detail with my other theory, but trust me, this one also has a lot of detail. But anyway, back to my point. The only other scene that doesn't really fit is Tori's. This is the only one that I can't really figure out. I know some people think it's an underground fight club, a casino, or Terry Silver's club. Because Terry Silver is her dad and paid for her bail. As stupid as that sounds to me, it doesn't sound as far off. At least to what I think. This teaser seems to be showing the aftermath of everyone, along with a lot of it being tied to Miguel. I mean, we see what's come of Johnny, Daniel, Miguel, Robbie, Hawk, Sam. I will get to those scenes shortly, but notice how it's the aftermath of everybody. I think this scene has to do with how she got out of juvie. It's just, how does Robbie have to go to juvie, but she doesn't? I think Tori will play a later role in the season, but I think she'll still appear in the first part of the season. I know Peyton List wasn't available for all of filming, but they have to show what happened to her early on, or people will be confused. I think all of these scenes would be in the first part of the show. All I can say is that I think this has to do with how she gets out of juvie. I could waste time talking about that person who's walking behind her. There's always a chance that that character is important, but I doubt it. There's no way we could figure that out, because they could be a whole new character. But let me talk about the surroundings a little bit when I brighten it up. I noticed two things in the background here. It looks like a cabinet and a staircase. So wherever this is, I think it's in somebody's house. Somebody who is probably wealthy and rich. And maybe somebody who bailed her out. That's why I'm not completely knocking the Terry Silver theory. I do think this is at the beginning of the show though, so I don't think it's Terry Silver. They wouldn't show him that early. Or I could be completely wrong and this is way later in the season. There's just no way to tell. I do think this scene is important though. If this scene means nothing, then they were probably just better off not showing Tori at all. But if you don't think on the right is a staircase, then look closer. Boom, they're like twins. But really. My point stands with Tori, so let's just move on. This scene is just Sam looking in the mirror at her wounds. There's not much to say besides the fact that her wound is healed by now. But I think we all know by now that Season 3 has a time jump. This could be when Sam got home from the hospital, I don't know, but we must know that Sam is deep in thought about what happened. Which, like I said before, ties in with Miguel. But yeah, this scene was a necessity to show that there is a time jump, and to show that Sam won't forget what happened. I think we all knew that the kids were going to be scarred by what happened, but we know that it has taken a toll on Sam. Not much else to cover there. This scene with Hawk is pretty cool. It gives away a lot. I think this scene here alone already gives me an idea of what's going to happen with Hawk this season. I will have a whole separate video dedicated to him. But as we can see, Hawk is clearly beating the shit out of somebody. I mean, look at his knuckles. Also, if you look closer, then you can see that he turned the moon tattoo into the Grim Reaper. So apparently that was the plan all along, to turn the moon tattoo into the Grim Reaper, which is pretty cool. Who Hawk is beating up doesn't really matter. But we know Hawk is in the Cobra Kai dojo probably taking orders from Kreese. Or from Terry Silver? I'm not even joking, Terry Silver could actually appear early on in the season. Remember, it was Terry Silver that made Daniel's knuckles bleed, not Kreese. In fact, Hawk may not actually be hitting a person. He could be learning the Quicksilver method and be hitting wood. Regardless of Terry Silver being involved, look how bad his knuckles are. If he's hitting a person, then they're dead. I think Hawk could be going ham on something that's not a person and be thinking it's Robbie or Dimitri. Maybe Robbie for almost killing his best friend. Or maybe he thinks he did kill him. That could also tie in with my first theory. And that would make this clip another clip that ties into Miguel. Regardless, it seems like Hawk is going down a very dark road. A very possibly psychotic road. And now on to the last clip. Miguel is alive. This was probably the whole point of this teaser in the first place. We now know the fate of everybody in Season 3. We don't know what is to come of Miguel, but we do know that he is recovering and he will be back. Anyways guys, that's my breakdown for this teaser. We have a lot of new info. I'm literally getting theories out the wazoo. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know if you disagree or agree with anything I had to say. And until the next video, peace. By the way, cheers to Season 4. Please subscribe.